In this video, we're going to make 21 colors using just red, yellow, and blue. The first thing you need to decide is which red, yellow, and blue you're going to use. I decided to try what printers use for their inks, and they use a yellow, a pink, and a blue. And of course they add black, but I'm actually going to show you how to make black with these three colors too. The yellow I'm using is Azo Yellow, the pink is Quinacridone Rose, and the blue is Phthalo Blue Red Shade. I'm going to start with the yellows and the greens. I'm just going to add a little bit of blue to this green, and we're going to have a very yellowy green. And then the thing with watercolor is that you can get multiple shades by thinning it out. And then by the time you're at the end, you have a whole different color. Well, not a different color, but you have a whole different shade, and you can get all kinds of nuances. Let's get down to the very bottom where it's just pale. You can get these very pale colors. Now let's see what happens if we add just a little bit more blue to this. Now if you use a different blue, then your greens will also turn out different. So this is still a very yellowy green, but this one almost looks yellow. This is more like a spring green. I got too much water in there, and so that's looking watered down, so I'm going to add quite a bit more color into it. At the end of this video are 4 paintings that I did using just 3 colors. And then there's the green that's more of a summer green. I still haven't added anything except for blue to this yellow. And then as you go paler, this, turns more like a sage instead of a green. And then let's go for a hunter, which is much bluer. And probably has a touch of red. What about olive? How do you make olive? Well, that'll take a little more red. We'll do it in little bits and pieces. And when I say red, I mean pink, because that's what I'm using as my red. So there we have an almost gray, which is the color that I wanted to mix at the end of this. So I'm going to keep that. That was a little bit more red. And you could make it a blue or gray or a red or gray, depending on what your preferences were. And I still want some olive, so I'm just going to add some blue and then some yellow. Then I want a teal, and that's going to be a lot of blue and just a little bit of yellow. And this is a very blue teal. If you want a greener teal, add some more yellow to it. So here are 7 colors with yellow, blue, and red, but there's so many shades. The possibilities are endless, from the darks to the lights. Then you can have the sage and the olive, and depending on your color, you could get a mint. And now we're going to go with the oranges and yellows. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please hit the like and subscribe and share it with a friend. Send me a note. I love hearing from you and hearing your questions and comments. So we're going to get into the oranges, and I'm going to start with the very lightest of oranges. Well, that got pretty intense, so we'll put that in a... So this is kind of in the orange category. I'm going to start it here. So now we'll do one with some more yellow. Just add more yellow to that. And then we get a yellow orange, sort of closer to gamboge maybe. And then it goes into that pale orange that you might have in a rose, for example. And then we all love maple leaf orange in the fall. It's quite bright, probably even brighter than this. Let's add a little bit more red. That could even be redder than that for coral. And then I wanted to show you how to make red with pink, because we need red too, and it just takes a little bit of yellow mixed in, and it turns it from a pink to a red. And of course there's burgundy. So if you want burgundy, you need some more red, and then we'll add some blue to it. So that's turned into a purple, and so to make it burgundy, we need some yellow. Just keep messing with it. So there, I added more red then. The best thing to do is to experiment with these. You'll learn more about color this way than almost any way. So then we're going to make rust. We want some green with our red. So I'm going to add this in. I'll just keep adding more. It's an orange, so it already has yellow. So that's yellow, red, and blue. And you just keep adding the reds in until you get color that is rust. It's easier to tell once you get it on the paper. Yeah, I think we'll add some more red in there. So I'm adding yellow and orange, yellow and red, and a bit of blue. And if you make a yellower rust, then you get some caramel. Like this turns into a sort of taupe color. If you made it a little bit yellower, then you would have a caramel color. And then if you want it more brown, you just add a little bit more blue to your rust, and it gets browner. In this one, we're going to do the purples and blues. And I'm going to start out with some ultramarine blue, which is still very blue, but it just has a touch of red to it. Let's add some more red to that. It looks very different on the palette than on the paper. And then we're going to make a purple, and I'm just going to add a lot more pink to it. Depending on the blue you use or the pink you use, you'll get slightly different colors, and depending on how white your paper is, you'll also get some different colors. I've got a violet here, so I'm going to add some more blue. Then you can go very light. The lighter you go, the lighter your lavenders will be. And then the violet is a much redder purple. So what about mauve? If you want a low-key purple, well, then you need to add a little bit of yellow. Do that here. See how that makes a more, I guess you'd call it brownish purple, but it makes a more mauve color. I think it also needs a touch of red. You do have to experiment, and as you experiment and learn, then you get more and more accurate with your colors. So there we have a mauve, which, could be pinker than this if you wanted it to be. I've always liked periwinkle. Let's see if we can get some of that. So periwinkle is a bluer purple, but still purple. My palette is whiter than my paper, and so it changes when it goes on the paper. Periwinkle we think of as a very light color, so let's lighten this down a lot. Now I have mostly purpley blues here, but there's all kinds of blues. And there's a sky blue, and the sky blue has a little bit of yellow mixed with it. Not enough to be green. So just a dab of yellow. And there's a whole range of these greener blues. And then last of all, I'm going to show you how to make black. Now my colors might be a little too watered down to make a good black, but let's at least get a dark gray. So there's some red and some blue, and we've got a pretty dark color there. Some more red. It's almost a purple. And then you just add a little bit of yellow. And it turns it black. And if it's too blue or green looking, then you just need more red. And if it's too purple looking, you just need more yellow. So it takes a little bit of doing. And if you really want to make all your own backs, it benefits you to get the darkest green, the darkest yellow, and the darkest red to do it with. And just keep messing with it till you get it right. So that was a yellower black. This is a bluer black, but I'm going to go with this. I prefer blue blacks myself. These are a lot of pretty colors, but if I had used a different pink or a different blue or a different yellow, they would all be slightly different. If I had used a magenta, these would be a little bit browner, but these would be more brilliant. So do I just use 3 colors when I paint? Well, no, I don't. I buy lots of colors. And the reason is because of time. It saves a lot of time to buy colors, and some colors are just really hard to mix. Dioxazine purple gives you a much more brilliant purple to start with, and then you can add your blues and pinks to change the shade. And black takes a lot of paint to mix, and it's cheaper to just buy black. I use Payne's Gray for that. I also have bought greens because I do lots of flowers and I use lots of greens, and it just saves a lot of time mixing. But if you really want to learn how to mix color, it's great to start with 3 colors or to do some exercises just using 3 colors. These paintings were part of a challenge that we did with 3 colors. The blue that was chosen ended up being too light to make a good black, and so they ended up allowing us to add some ink to it for some of the blacks. And the colors were a red, not a pink, a yellow, and a cobalt blue.